So you don't have time to consume an entire podcast. That's okay. Enjoy the highlights on TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon. So the obvious question to you is, dude, what's happening right now because of the whole Russia-Ukraine thing? And people do have this conjecture that, maybe China's going to kind of do a similar thing in Taiwan, which will just change shit up for the Indian Ocean. It'll change shit up for India. Are you into geopolitics?
I would like to be more. I think it's very fascinating. I'm a big World War II buff, I think it's very interesting to as a subject of study.
Yeah, dude. We've had lots of army folks on the show. That's their subject, right?
Yeah.
Geopolitics, other than actual military stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had said in the past that we think the world has moved away from hot war, and that's until the point where Putin invades Ukraine and does all this shit to Ukrainian cities.
Yeah.
When there's a war going on in the world, our generation is too young to remember 2008, honestly. And secondly, we're really, really young to even think of how the World War impacted the world. So what is the impact of wars and shit on financial market? Let's speak specifically about this scenario. Chalo.
If I could say it in one word, it's uncertainty, right?
Okay.
No one can predict how a war will play out, right? There are you can build a decision tree and say this may happen and then this may happen, but honestly, it's all probabilities, right? And no one knows the outcome. We don't know whether the US will take a retaliatory position against Russia. We don't know if Ukraine is going to sign a peace deal with Russia. We don't know, right?
And every day shit changes up.
Every day shit changes. And when that happens, people who are in the financial world trying to make projections about one thing having an impact on the other. And we live in an incredibly connected world, right? Everyone is dependent on someone else. In that situation, you just don't know. And when uncertainty happens, assets can get completely mispriced. Okay. So what we know for sure is that we're living in very uncertain times. Okay. And hence, it's better to take from your financial investments a safer position with respect to how you're deploying capital.
As in, go for more low risk, low return investments.
Absolutely.
Basically.
And ideally go for something which is not necessarily linked to the stock markets, because the stock markets in such times can be very, very volatile. There's historically a preference for going for fixed income instruments, which say, okay, you will get X amount of return in a month, irrespective of how the stock market performs, right? So that is typically what science would suggest, or
which traditionally is silver, gold. What else?
Those are great because they tend to be safer instruments, right? So say gold, silver, even buying US treasuries is typically this thing. But even if you go for a AAA graded corporate bond, okay, like for example, HDFC's bank corporate bond, right? They're fixed income instruments. However the stock market perform, there's very little correlation to these stocks or these assets. And that's another opportunity for people to consider.